that one is already done. Oy. I have 2 cups of tea, so just waiting to see who's going to join the live. Waiting to see who's joining me. Just finished 1 cup of tea, but I knew I was going to be done with that one, and now I have my second one and my daughter's cup. Sturbridge Village. Just waiting to see who else is going to join the chat before we get started. Hope you have your tea. Hello, 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 hello all. Welcome to Tea with Theresa. Hope you have tea or something to drink. Just got a couple of things I'm going to go over. And then I'm going to turn it to you guys out there and ask some questions. It is the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. So got a few questions for you guys out there, for all you people out there, not guys. I hate when I use that term. So, earlier today, let me take off these glasses because there's always a glare. Hello everyone, my name is Theresa McCalman. I am running for Senate in New York State's 49th Senate District. I'm running to unseat a Republican. And today is Tea with Theresa. Every Wednesday we have Tea with Theresa, and it's more of a lighthearted thing. Tomorrow we'll be doing COVID updates, but on these days I like to focus on some other things. What's going on with you, what's going on with me, mostly what's going on with you, and understand I don't like to talk at people. I like to listen and engage and things like that. So Tea with Theresa is more about you than it is about me. It's actually you spilling your tea while I drink mine. And I'm going to point out 3 things later on after we have our little discussion. But earlier today in one of my classrooms, let me take this away. I feel like my face is so bright. In my classroom, as I'm teaching online, I've gone back part-time pretty much teaching, and one of my students said that she couldn't complete some of the assignments because she had gone back to work. She got a new job, and that she'll be going back to what she called work Monday. And I froze and I said, oh my gosh, hey Laura. I said, oh my gosh, you're going back to work on Monday. And I said, where? And then she reminded me that she was teaching. And I said, whoa. And then I had to think. And I said, wait, the school that you work for, is it privately run? And she said, yes. And then, you know, what she explained to me before came rushing back. And I said, oh my gosh. And I said, so you guys are actually going to... like all staff is coming back, which I find very scary, especially the fact that people are still contracting the virus and are still passing away from the virus. And I also want to talk about recovery numbers too. They seem to have disappeared. But so she said, yeah. And I said, well, I hope that your company is actually going to be giving you protective equipment, and because she has small children. And I said, I really pray that you keep yourself safe, you know, not for the babies, like the kids need you, your children need you. And she, obviously, like, that didn't need to be said, but I was just really concerned. But her other job that she recently got, asked her where does she work, and she signed up to work with a food store. And I asked her what position, and it's going to be a position actually that she's really going to be engaging a lot with the public. And I would have been worried before anyway, But I'm worried even more now because these people are out there protesting the stay-at-home orders like no one's ever died. Like this is all a fraud. Like nothing's happened. Now, I've had 3 family members now pass away in the last couple of weeks from this virus. It's not a joke. So please, stay at home. And if you have to go outside, and I'm so tired of saying this, if you have to go outside, and I'm probably preaching to the choir anyway, please wear a mask. Keep your hand sanitizer on hand. I went out to the store for the first time in over 3.5 weeks because I couldn't get stuff fast enough. I had to get cat litter. We ran out of cat litter. So a couple of things. I had to get cat litter. That was something essential. We definitely needed cat litter for the cat. We had absolutely none left. And she literally runs through the house like a nut if her box is filthy to like, and that's usually like one item in there. So she doesn't really like her box that dirty. So I had to go get cat litter because we had absolutely zero. So I had a makeshift mask. I had my hand sanitizer in my pocket. And I had gloves, and there were wipes available at the store. I went to Price Chopper or Market 32, whatever they're calling themselves these days. And I, made sure I put the wipes on the shopping cart because we had to get water as well. We literally just had the last bottle of water. I have a growing 13-year-old who also is a tree, which kind of goes together because she's growing like a tree, so she drinks water like she lives in a desert. So we just ran out of water. So those are the 2 things that I had to go get because I couldn't wait for them to be delivered. And there were people just around with no mask or anything on, and it was really, really, really upsetting. So please, 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 wear protective mask covering or something when you're going out and take precautions. So I just want to say that. I don't know if anyone else has actually experienced anything like that. If you do, say something in the comments and I'll see it. I want to say also that it was, I don't know how I'm feeling about certain things that the governor is saying and doing. I mean, I know how I feel. But he was trying to make the distinction between what was happening during certain wars and also what was happening during the flu pandemic and where we're at right now, 53 days into our lockdown and our state lockdown or pause, whatever we're calling it. And the distinction between the years of those tragedies and pandemics and what's happening now. Understandably, we are a very connected, modern world. So it's harder for us to go 3 days without contact, physical contact with people, and not all of us, but the majority of the interconnected world now, than it would have been to go 3 years without like seeing family in 1918. So I get where he was going with that. He's trying to draw that contrast, but I'm curious what other people think. What exactly do you see? Like, do you think that this has really been a really hard 53 days? And I know our economy is totally different. It's definitely a worldwide economy. So everyone's affected all over the world when one economic system shuts down in a certain country. So I'm just curious to see what other people are feeling about that. And he made a statement that our actions today will shape our future. And I think that's pretty much what I'm going to say about that. But it's true. And that's true with anything, right? When I speak to my students, when I'm teaching social studies, and I speak to them about these enduring issues, which this is an enduring issue. As long as you have civilization, you have people living together, you will always have disease to some extent. You will always have that chance of a pandemic or an actual pandemic happening as long as we live in such a close type of civilization. So this is an enduring issue. issue. But I always say to my students, it's how we handle it that dictates what our future will look like. And I think that's something that history teachers and historians have always said, sociologists, anthropologists, all that. Everything that we do today in this moment right now, the words that we say, every syllable, every utterance dictates what shape our future takes. So, and with that being said, as a historian, everything that's going on is really, really, really triggering that historian memory. I'm like, if we're going to open up, sorry, my allergies are acting up, so I keep itching my nose. So I'm sorry, it's just allergies. There's a meme about that too, allergies or corona. Anyway, I won't digress. I'm gonna stay on topic. So I lost my train of thought. But with my historian brain, I'm thinking there's just things that are like really triggering me. Like if we're going to open up the state, there's certain things we have to do. Like you get tested. Understandable. Everyone should be tested all across the world. Everyone should be tested. I prefer the finger prick because I really do not want a swab going down my nose into the back of my throat. Hey, my baby's on. Hi, Money. So everyone should definitely be tested. Yes. But then they're saying if you're tested and you're tested negative, you're allowed to go out into the public and go back to work and do all these things. It's going to be really, really hard for many of us to wait, because you have to wait. There's a certain amount of days that you have to wait for that test to come back. And I don't think we're at the point where there's some rapid test happening. Not that any one of us regular folk can afford to get that rapid response. But this so reminded me of a certain era in our history as a world. So you would be allowed to be outside, but if you have not been tested, you can't go back to work. You can't do certain things. So I said, how are we going to know who's been tested? That means that we have to be categorized in some way. So either a bracelet, either a card, or a stamp, or something, or some kind of registration, something saying you have been tested, you're free to go, and then every day you're going to have to take like your temperature or something like that, or tell people what your symptoms are just in case. And this can go on for years, right? So I'm sitting here thinking, that sounds like so much like apartheid South Africa. So people of color were not allowed into certain parts of the city in South Africa, in certain cities in South Africa, Soweto, we'll say like Soweto, right? So you're walking around, and if you did not have a card stating that you belonged or you had permission from the state or the local government to be in that section of the city, then you would be arrested. And then the other thing with people spying on their neighbors and reporting whether or not they have a mask on. To me, that's too close to the things that happened in Nazi Germany. I'm just putting it out there because as a historian, these are the things that I have in my head readily because I teach it every single day. So I think if we're going to do certain things, we have to be careful, remember history, and be careful about how we go about implementing these things. A lot of people are still suffering from PTSD. We just had the Holocaust Remembrance Day the other day, yesterday, and the days are melding. So it's really still fresh in a lot of people's blood and memory. Those horrible things, especially apartheid, just happened. It just ended in the 90s. So please, this is just our current leadership, our current governors, our current lawmakers all over the United States. We just got to be careful about how we go about opening up our state. We got to be careful that we're not repeating those things unintentionally. And I understand it may be unintentional, but we got to be careful. All right, that's my spiel. That's what I had to say, because it's really been eating me up every time I hear the governor or the president speaking, or other governors. And I also listen to Trudeau up in Canada. I listen to mostly everyone and all across the country and in the world, and try to listen to how they're handling these things. And it's just really scary sometimes. And I'm hoping that we have the sense enough to be like, we don't want to repeat history. Just saying. That's what I wanted to say. So curious, let me see, it's a couple of people. We need to make sure that we have the actual accurate tests. I know, right? There are many tests out there that give false negatives. I know. I'm curious what tests, I'm sure, I'm hoping, confident that the ones that are being conducted in UAlbany are the ones that we actually want to give to other people. So I just want to say that, just hoping that's true. So today's the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, and I'm wondering what some of you think about your current legislators and what you think they should be doing to protect the Earth, and especially federal as well. Do you think we're doing enough? I know what's happened with the EPA drawing back funding and all that. Hey, Heather, and things like that. But I'm just curious what other people are thinking. Like, as a candidate running for Senate, New York State Senate, and wanted to be your representative, I can tell you what I think and what I feel you should find important. But that's not how these things work. I don't want to be your representative to tell you what I think is important. I want you to tell me what you find is important, what you feel is important. Hello, Rosanna. I don't know who you are, but I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so happy I'm seeing some new names and faces here. All my OGs, I'm happy to see y'all always. You know that. Well, hello, Rosanna. But I'm curious what you think is actually more important than what we're telling you. Like, as a representative, I would dictate to you, right? I'm just saying, if I was your elected, because this is what they do. We need more solar. That's what we need to do. Or wind. We need to depend on these things, right? Sounds good. We need to move to electrical cars or something like that. All of that sounds all well and good, and we need to do it by this date, 2025, 2030. And this is what, and for all you new people coming in, I have allergies, that's why I keep itching my nose. But this is what I would be telling you, but that's not how I function. Especially when I'm teaching. My students always go, Ms. T, tell me. I'm not telling you. I'm reminding you what's already in your brain, but I'd really like to hear from you what you feel is more important, especially on this Earth Day. What is more important for you that we should be doing for hey, Suzanne, how you doing? What we should be doing as your legislators, as your lawmakers, as the ones who will be funding these things. What's more important to you? So put it down there in the comments. You can also email us at theresaforsenate@gmail.com. theresaforsenate@gmail.com. Look how long it took me to say that, right? Took me a whole 19 minutes. So I just wanted to know that. And in connection with that, I noticed how, since we have been less interactive with our environment, how much more our environment is flourishing. Has anyone noticed that? Have you? I've noticed that there's been a lot of reports. I'm even noticing more birds in this tree. It's just kind of annoying, the birds, the woodpecker especially, but it's okay. I'm just noticing that there's, like, we had a bear here and just chilling, wandering the streets here in Schenectady. You know, he didn't care. He's like, there's less humans around, I can. My girlfriend had, one of my best friends, she posted on her Snapchat that a blue heron had come back to the creek behind her house. She's been cleaning up back there as well. The blue herring just came back and she thought it was beautiful. So I'm wondering if anyone else is noticing anything locally. I know we see less pollution out there in China. In India, the Ganges River is actually much more clear and actually somewhat drinkable now. They're saying that you can actually drink it, and no one's been able to drink it in like forever. So I'm just curious, what differences have you seen in your local environments now that we're interacting less with that? And I also want to point out that last week I did an interview with Betsy Sandberg, and she is part of, well, she's the head organizer or lead organizer, one of the lead organizers for the Kids Festival, Art Festival here in Schenectady. And we chatted on a Zoom call about what she's been doing during this pandemic. So we spoke about art during the pandemic. And it was really awesome. It was really good. And we're editing the video right now, trying to get some of the images that she sent through because we were having technical difficulties. And we were trying to get some of those images in so that when we post it, hopefully soon, I was hoping by Monday, but we'll be editing that video, finishing it up, and getting it out to you. And I think that's just one of the ways. If you can see behind me, I'm trying not to cover it, there's a rainbow, and she's been doing some fence work. And I didn't know it was hers until she mentioned it, downtown Schenectady. They actually put ribbons in the links of the fence, and it was a rainbow, and I thought it was beautiful. I didn't know until I had spoken with her that was her and some of her volunteers who had done that. So just if you've been doing certain artwork or things like that to help your community, she also put together some letter writing and artwork. I think it's more specific on it. I don't want to give it away. I need you to watch the actual talk and chat that we had, but she did some awesome things with our senior community, and it would be something really great for all of us to say. For all of us to listen to and watch. I'm going to take a sip of my tea. Hibiscus, I think that's probably why I'm so itchy, because I'm actually allergic to hibiscus slightly. Okay, all right, the three things. One is my teacup today is Sturbridge Village, one of my daughter's favorite places that she went on field trip in school. I think this was like her 5th grade or 6th grade field trip. And this is the cup that I had purchased from her. Love it because we actually used to be reenactors, and she was a young reenactor. So this village is actually still the same. Looks almost exactly the same that it did. It's called Old Sturbridge Village. Sturbridge Village. And they have some reenactors there. And she really enjoyed seeing that. So just wanted to show you my teacup for today. Earlier when I started the video, I had my Giant's teacup, but it was old tea, and I was finishing it up, and I just made a nice fresh one because I knew that one wasn't going to last. It was while I was teaching my class, so it just got old. So that's I got that cup because my son used to be a Giants fan. I don't know what he is right now. And then I have my shirt on that I didn't get to wear before, Love City by Jeremiah Davis, a young entrepreneur, high school student. I ordered a few shirts from him back in like February after I had attended while I was attending William Rivas's, a local leader and activist, community activist. He was hosting an entrepreneur night, and this young man came with 3 young ladies, all black young people in high school, and they started this because they wanted to promote love for your city. And I thought that was the most awesome idea, something that I had been thinking about, and he actually put into physical action. So I told him that I would be wearing his shirt and give him a shout out. So I don't know if Jeremiah is on watching, but I sent him a text message just to let him know that this time I'm actually wearing the shirt. Last time I washed it and forgot to turn the dryer on. And here let me put this on. This is my hat. Put my little plebeian little thing in there. I'll hold up a second. I think that's, yep. So this is my hat that I had gotten when I protested across the street. You hear me? I crossed the street, but over at Ellis Hospital with the nurses on Knott Street in Schenectady, and they also protested at Bellevue Hospital, the Women's Bellevue Hospital, over on Route 7, and they were protesting safe staffing and contracts and things like that. And I haven't worked in nursing in a very long time. It's been over 20 years, and I don't want to tell you how old I was when I started. So it's been a really, really long time, and I felt compelled to actually go out there and join my fellow nurses to support them in their fight. I remember working on one of the hardest floors. I don't know if we have any nurses watching, but med-surg is one of the hardest units to work on because you get everything. You get geriatrics, pediatrics, all the way to geriatrics and anything in between. We get everything. So you have to be on your feet, and it's not just the one type of patient that you're taking care of. Anything can come through those doors. So I can recall we were often short-staffed and being at the end of my shift and being told that I have to stay. And it was mandatory overtime. And mostly it happened to a lot of us because we did not have staff. And that means that we're working 16 hours, sometimes 20-hour shifts, and not because we need the extra money, which is ridiculous, because if we're a nurse, we should not be needing extra money. We should be getting paid exactly what we're worth. And I'm going to get back to that in a minute. But it's unsafe because back then we didn't have all these high-tech things to calculate exactly how much dosage we should have. Our brains needed to be on, and we needed to make sure that we were calculating the right dosage for our patients. Like all that technology, all that fancy schmancy stuff was just coming about. So, and I worked in a rural hospital, so we were dealing with what we had. I mean, we barely had fitted sheets. Like that was amazing if we found a fitted sheet. We had to do our corners properly. So, just saying that I've been there. I know how it feels. I didn't work forever in the field, but I worked long enough, years enough, I should say, to understand what it is not to have the proper contract, not to be paid what you're worth, not to have that humane treatment. You're a nurse, you're not a slave, and also not to have enough staffing. Safe staffing saves lives, so just saying. And I wanted to acknowledge my nurses out there wearing my hat, my little plebe little thing to the side. In this pandemic right now, I think that with the fact that we were fighting for beds shouldn't have been a thing. We shouldn't have been fighting for beds because they were cut in the last 10 years. Those beds were cut from funding because our local government said that we had too many beds. So when we came back, it wasn't enough beds. I wonder why we didn't have enough beds. Just saying, putting that out there. And then with our budget that just passed April 1st, Medicaid was cut. My thing is, how could you cut Medicaid? And anything else could have been cut. Well, not anything else. But there is a way to get that funding, right? We could ask our people, even those ones who don't want to be on lockdown. You're that patriotic, and if you have money, if you're a millionaire because you're a zillionaire, billionaire, and you are not being taxed properly, you should, if anything, take your patriotic self up there to your capital and say, tax me, tax me. We need to save lives. Your money is not going to protect you. How many people we see in the news, billionaires, even celebrities, who are getting this disease, and some of them have passed away. Money's not going to protect you. But if we were to make sure that we are funding the programs that will protect you, like Medicare for all things, and actually pass that, you can get protected that way. Your dollar bill is not going to, your $100 bill is not going to protect you. So put it to good use. Be patriotic. And I say that because I know this is what we did during the Great Depression, and that's what we're suffering right now. They don't want to say it, but that's what it is. The economy has shut down. And how do we fund it? We go to the wealthiest Americans and we tax them. And I know the thing is here in New York State, and I've said it too, if they're not bringing in money, how are we going to tax them? But they're sitting on cash. They have income. Why? Because our essential workers are going to work and making sure that their businesses stay open. So they're still bringing in income. It's us, the essential workers, who are not bringing in income, right? Because we still have to pay our rent. So what do? Just like we did back then, tax them. And here in New York, they're saying, but if we tax them, they'll leave New York. I don't think so. The whole point that we have billionaires and millionaires here in New York, especially in New York City, the reason why we have them in New York City is because of the lifestyle in New York City, because of the environment in New York City. They moved there on purpose. And here in upstate New York, they have their second home in New York, in upstate New York. Why? Because they can say, I'm moving from the crowded city. I want to go away and take a break in my big mansion with all my thousands of acres or whatever, or hundreds of acres out there in upstate New York. It's the privilege of being able to do that and being able to say or show the people that I can do this. So I think that there's no other city that offers what New York, they don't even come close to what New York City offers. So I'm just saying, we won't lose them. We won't lose them at all if we tax them. And there are plenty of billionaires who are actually asking, please tax me, please take my money. Because I'm making enough. It's not even gonna, they're not even gonna feel it. And if we were to tax the billionaires that are in New York City, we can actually fund a universal basic income. And I know this is probably the first time many of you have heard me say this, because I don't like to speak about things that I have not researched or have not thought about enough. And I've been doing some thinking and some research, and I need to do more, but I feel that a universal basic income can actually happen. And then on top of that, look at this experience that we're all sharing right now. The majority of us have gotten $1,200 or more, depends if you have kids, whatever. But for those of you who have gotten your $1,200 stimulus check, that is pretty much a universal basic income. Like, this is what that represents. So we can find money in our federal funding to send every person in the United States $1,000. Then we can do that all the time. And it won't affect how you work. So, and what will this do? A lot of people saying we need to get rid of welfare. If we give people a universal basic income and then pay them a livable wage, a proud wage for what the work that they do, because now we see who actually keeps this country afloat, we won't have to have a welfare system. We won't. Because everyone will be able to take care of themselves, to be able to feed their kids. And I was just saying this to my husband. I said, you know what? I said, there will be less kids going to school hungry, more kids graduating because they'll be able to concentrate, less domestic violence for those who are taking it out on their significant others or children because of stresses like finances. Besides, they need mental health. There'll actually be people who can afford to go to the doctor and get mental health, and their entire body would be taken care of because we will have our health care sorted out, and it'll be taking care of people the way that we're supposed to. And when a pandemic rolls around, we'll all be taken care of, and the economy would not suffer for it. It's so many things that will cause a ripple effect. if we actually had this all the time. Just saying. So let me see. I've been talking forever and I've gone over my time and no one has any questions. Well, if you would like to help out with the campaign, you would like to donate, there are a lot of people who do not have access to the internet, and we're trying to reach at least 1,700 people this week who do not have access to the internet, and that means mailing people things, mailing them information, and getting the word out. So if anything you can donate, my staff has posted a link out at Secure Act Blue. $10, $20, $100. Our goal this week is $500. $500 will get us to get all the information out to people that do not have the privilege of being on the internet and watching this just like the rest of us. So we want to make sure that they get all the information. And there's a lot of people out there who don't know what's going on. They're relying on their neighbors. And, you know, neighbor Bob, thank you. You may think that you know what you know, but I would rather get true information to these people and make sure that they're well informed and they're truly informed. On our website, we have a page totally dedicated to COVID-19. Anything and everything that you need to know about it, especially within our district, it's there. So please go to TheareseForSenate.com and our /COVID-19. You can /COVID-19, but you can go to TheareseForSenate.com and go to our COVID-19 page, and everything is there. And that's the information that we want to make sure that people have access to. The current senator, the current Republican senator that is sitting in the seat right now, haven't heard hair nor hide from him. Where are you? How are you getting this information out to the constituents? They need to know what they need to know in order to not only survive this pandemic, but also come out of it financially set. There's a woman who did not know how she was going to get her stimulus check. So I sent her a whole long page of infographic to the IRS for non-filers, to the IRS site that has a link for non-filers. And I broke it down for her and made sure that she understood where she needed to click, what she needed to do, and the information that she needed to have. And she said, I'm sharing this with the other seniors in my community. She's like, it's totally rural out here, and most of us do not have internet access. And I was speaking to her on the phone. So we really need to make sure that our elderly and our people out there in the country and that last mile that doesn't have internet has access to that. So please, donate anything that you can. We just need to reach the 1,700 people this week. Next week it'll be another 1,700, but we're sticking with this goal this week. $500 is what we have to raise. Please, TheareseForSenate.com. And also our resources, always up to date. Every single day we update all of the information that is vital and important to us to stay safe and stay healthy. TheareseForSenate.com. And you can send me questions, comments if you want to volunteer. TheareseForSenate@gmail.com. TheareseForSenate@gmail.com. And that will be in the comments down there. Let me see. Hi, Irene. How you doing? I see my aunt out there. So please, volunteer. You can help us call people, help us get mailers. Please, people, this is a life or death matter. We need to make sure that we're reaching these people. TheareseForSenate.com, TheareseForSenate@gmail.com. Okie dokie. And I'm going to sign off. Stay healthy, stay safe, drink tea.